Michigan man Jason brought up Wisconsin just beat Oklahoma State. Wasn't TCU losing to Oklahoma State? Um, well, for one, be careful with that. I'm not really big onto cross comparison games. With what highest opponent played versus that team and stuff like that, because it's all different. Um, what I would say is fact of the matter is TCU did end up beating Oklahoma State, and they're here for a reason. And even though I can't come up with a realistic situation in which Michigan loses to TCU, like I think it's actually going to happen. I do respect them, and I think that they are a formidable opponent, um, and that they play with the energy and with a spirit that um, lends to them just not quitting, right? And I would be shocked if Michigan breaks them early in that game. I think TCU is going to fight as long as they can. And if Michigan does their own self-inflicted mistakes, they can find themselves in a very uncomfortable situation, as will all of us who's watching and rooting for
I agree. They are a formidable opponent, and obviously, I'm pretty sure the Michigan players and coaches don't watch our show. But if they did, what I would say is don't have the Ferris mindset here. Don't have that type of mindset because when it gets down to the end of the season, anybody can be beaten. Like
them.
you telling me if JJ throws two pick sixes, that Michigan still is a guaranteed to win this game? Like no, Max Duggan is a more than capable quarterback of winning this football game. Quentin Johnson is a really good wide receiver. I would argue outside of Marvin Harrison Jr., he's probably going to be the best wide receiver Michigan has faced this year.
Correct.
So it's not as if like there's nobody's on it. Like, and I hesitate to even say this because it's just it's not doesn't sound great. But to me, with the Cincinnati game last year, like I told you, Alabama's going to win this game. They're going to take the air out of the ball. There's no way we're losing this game. And it's similar in the 1-4 matchups that Alabama's had with Notre Dame, where I'm like, dude, they don't have a shot, man. Like we're doing our best to get out of this freaking game healthy. That's all it is. Like, and I don't think Michigan can have that same mindset in this game. Like it's not that much of a it's not that far of a separation. It's far, but it's not that far to where Michigan can just do no wrong. Like, oh man, we got them. Like, no big deal. Listen, if you come in here, rolling out of bed. Sorry, Ferris. Hold on, let me tell you. But if you just roll out of bed thinking that you know what I mean? Like, hey, we got this. Like, we've seen this happening at all levels of football, high school, college, pros, where it's just like, oh yeah, man, we're good. Heck, we just saw it for our freaking Detroit Lions. Thought they were just gonna roll into
You
Carolina
not do that right
and
now.
just win. Yeah, man, got to do that right now because it's recent. Like we thought we were gonna roll in there and be good to go. Man, this team stinks. Blah blah blah. And and we got our butts kicked. So it's just all I'm saying is respect your opponent. If Michigan plays their game, they'll be just fine. But they need to play their game. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, well, yeah, you got another thing is that TCU and Michigan as well. I mean, both teams have been game planning for each other for almost a month. Okay, so there are no surprises. Really, they know what you're going to do. So no, look, um, it just comes down to execution. It really does. So if you do not execute, yeah, that you could beat yourselves. Um, it's just one of those things where what's more likely to happen, and to me it comes down to the physicality. And I know we had what's her name, Melissa, I believe, a few weeks ago on with this. I just don't see TCU having the physicality long for 60 minutes to stay with Michigan. Look, you can come out, you can be pumped up before the game, you know, you're excited. You hear people saying you can't stick with this team physically, right? You understand this narrative versus Big 12 teams and all that stuff. So you can come out and be jacked up, and if you're TCU, and maybe you come out with a really good first quarter, right? You're like, no, we can't. We're not soft, and I'm not calling them soft, but like we can't hang with these guys. But the problem is for them, and for a lot of teams, even really tough quote unquote Big Ten teams, is that Michigan starts to really wear you down late third quarter, fourth quarter. That's when them legs, when you're not built for that, and Michigan really is, that's when you start leaning. They start leaning on you and leaning on you. And then you're just not built to be able to have the meat up front to and the depth behind that to just to long term, and that's when you start seeing guys like Donovan Edwards break loose for long runs because you just don't have it. You don't have it. And so that's why I can't see it, man. And I'm just not sure TCU's offense is going to get enough explosive plays and enough scoring. Um, I think the Michigan defense should keep them under 25 points. But we'll see. But I just don't see it, man. I think Michigan should be able to control the line of scrimmage. I really do.
Well, I see a lot of people talking about kind of the 3-3-5 defense and that it's not going to work against Michigan. And listen, I'm young enough to remember when Michigan played an Army team, if I'm not mistaken, and that Michigan defense played consistently every snap with three safeties, three guys about 12 yards from the line of scrimmage. And that Michigan defense dominated that Army offense. Like it's not like there's a lot more that goes into it. Just saying that you're a 3-3-5 like defense is not enough to say like that's it. Let's wash our hands of it. Like let's move on because they run a 3-3-5 defense. Like that's not how it works. Like I saw that Michigan team do that to that Army offense, and I'm trying to think, was that 2018? It's been pretty recent. But
Yeah, well,
like I said, it was just kind of it was odd. Everybody was upset. Like, why do we have three safeties and blah blah blah? And that defense played their butts off.
you're talking about Army's defense was a 3-3-5, or
No, I'm saying Michigan's defense against Army's offense lined up with three safeties um, against Army. Yeah, and they dominated.
yeah. Well, it's just one of those things where look, guys. I think we're all in lockstep that on paper it doesn't make a lot of sense for TCU to win this football game, but hey, that's why you got to play the game, right? Um, I think it also helps that Michigan. I don't want to see him much unless he's kicking PATs. I don't want to see any Jake Moody unless he's kicking PATs, right? So also, let's get to the red zone and let's convert. Because we know that TCU they probably would get a couple points here and there. Keep the pressure on them and score touchdowns. Okay, please. I swear.
You say that, but I mean, we've also seen games where the red zone offense wasn't, it wasn't clicking. Like we've seen
We
that.
saw it in person.
So it's not like you know what I mean. I just want to make sure that we are approaching this the correct way, as if we have anything to do with the outcome of the game. But just you know what I mean. Like if Michigan is respecting their opponent, come out, play their game, I think they'll be just fine. If they come out thinking that a 3-3-5 that'll never work against us, we're good. I'm not quite sure that's the case. Like you got to execute. You got to put in the work. You got to do it. You got to handle stuff on the field. Like that's the way that it works.